Mega Man games are no stranger to tight deadlines and developer crunches. Mega Man 7 for the Super Nintendo was no exception. The developers had only 3 months to put this here game together. It was an experience that Inafune and the game's illustrator, Hayato Kaji, described as having fun at camp, due to the team being highly motivated. And now you might think that with only 3 months, the resultant game must be an unpolished mess, but you'd be wrong. I'm here to tell you just how wrong you are, because not only were Mega Man 2 and Mega Man X developed in a similar time frame, but also because Mega Man 7 itself is an impressive accomplishment, a testament to the developers, and an absolute marvel with all the right ingredients. It's got a killer soundtrack, well-crafted level designs, a top-notch plot, and some of the funnest boss patterns the series has ever seen. This is quite possibly my favorite Mega Man game. If you loved the old NES games, you'll feel right at home here. The gameplay in Mega Man 7 is as pixel perfect as those 8-bit predecessors. The new chunky sprites might take a split second to get used to, but the platforming remains as precise and as responsive as ever. And for all the flack 7 got for being too familiar in light of Mega Man X's release, the game actually does a lot to spice up the classic formula. Mega Man 7 is the first mainline entry to not only begin with an intro stage, but to give you 2 waves of 4 Robot Masters, instead of all 8 of them at once. Now what this does is allow the special weapons to play an even bigger role throughout the stages. The special weapons can have an effect on the environment to reveal hidden areas and secrets. You can use Scorch Wheel on trees, Ice Cracker on pools of lava, and power up generators with the Thunderbolt. And even make it start snowing to reveal invisible platforms. This was actually an idea that the creator, Akira Kitamura, originally wanted to implement back in Mega Man 1 and 2, but didn't have the time nor the hardware capability. So it's actually pretty neat to see how his influence, whether it was a coincidence or not, found its way into these later games. And Mega Man 7 special weapons are a hell of a lot of fun to play around with. And they have some great special effects and animation. One of the funnest things about Mega Man 7 though are the bosses. This is some of the most fun I've ever had fighting Robot Masters, or bosses for that matter, with the exception of the final boss, which they intentionally designed to require an E-Tank by giving them crazy projectiles that are near impossible to dodge, so that you're better off just getting hit by the yellow one, which does the least amount of damage. So besides that ridiculousness, the rest are fantastic, especially the 8 Robot Masters. As usual, you can make it easier on yourself using their weakness, but I love taking these guys on with only the Mega Buster and letting their patterns play out. I love the fights that really keep you on your toes. Mega Man 7 is also the first console game to introduce a shop. You can spend the bolts you find on items like E-Tanks, lives, beat whistles once you find beat hidden away in one of the stages, and actually there's a bunch of other hidden goodies as well. For some of them you can use Rush Search to dig underground and find things like an energy balancer or a stage exiter. And Proto Man makes an appearance in a number of stages. If you find him in all his locations, in his last location, he'll lend you his Proto Shield after you prove yourself in combat. Proto Man's shield can be used to block projectiles both in front and behind you, depending on whether or not you're standing still or running forward. One more awesome addition is the Super Adapter. After collecting 4 hidden letters that spell out rush, you're treated to this super powerful adapter, which combines both the jet adapter and the power adapter from Mega Man 6, along with the Mega Arm from World 5. And you can even upgrade it further so that the Mega Arm turns into a hyper rocket buster for greater range and homing in on your enemies, regardless of where they are on screen. What I love the most about the Super Adapter though is how the level designs of the Wily Castle stages have the Super Adapter in mind, as well as some of the bosses in the castle. It's such a simple thing to do. Take one of the abilities you put in the game and design things around it, but Mega Man games actually don't go to this extent very often. For example, the Jet Adapter and Power Adapter in Mega Man 6, as cool as they are, they pretty much boil down to reaching a few hard-to-reach ladders or breaking through some ice blocks here and there. In Mega Man 7, the Super Adapter plays a big part in the platforming, and it's absolutely awesome. Now let's talk about story and presentation. First off, this game has an awesome new paint job, and I really dig these big chunky sprites. They look great, and despite their size, they don't affect the gameplay. And the backgrounds and stage designs are also a treat, full of color and dripping with detail. Now my one gripe here would have to be the sound effects. Most of them are fine. However, there's one culprit in particular that bothers me quite a bit. The sound of Mega Man's Buster. But for the most part, I dig the rest of the sound design, and the same can be said for the music. This game's soundtrack hits all the right notes. The composers were comprised of an all-star team of 10 composers, some of which have worked on previous Mega Man games, and well, they knocked this one out of the park. Not a single dud is amongst these tracks. Every track is a catchy, memorable tune befitting of each and every stage. Simply put, this soundtrack is Meganificent. Now the story is something that I really want to talk about, because the ending has sometimes been the subject of a lot of debate. We'll get to that, but first I will say that I do like the return to a more semi-serious tone here. Now I don't think the classic series should be all dark and gritty, but I don't believe it should be afraid of touching upon darker themes or asking serious questions. And it most definitely should not be overly lighthearted to the point of being silly. I'm actually against the idea that X is supposed to be the darker counterpart to the classic series. For the classic series, I believe there's a fine line to toe. A line that the manga and comic books toe very well, especially Ariga Hitoshi's work. Mega Man should resemble the shows that inspired it, like Astro Boy and Casshern, and that's where Mega Man 7 really shines. This story has stakes, and Wily is once again a true-to-form villain, not some forgivable goof scamming gullible idiots with charity schemes or creating the robotic version of Influenza. While most games are loosely connected, the events of Mega Man 7 are a direct follow-up to Mega Man 6. Wily has been captured, but he's sealed away a series of robots. Robots he programmed to activate in the event of his capture. 6 months later they activated, and the robots then went and wreaked havoc and set Wily free. I really love the storytelling that ensues, and the introduction to Bass and Treble, an awesome counter character to Mega Man and his robo buddy Rush. There's also a new supporting character, Otto, the lovable Tin Man. Now what I really love is that this game captures the tone and feel of what I think, based off interviews, was the vision of the original creator. Upon defeating Wily once again, Mega Man is confronted with a choice, whether or not to break one of the 3 laws of robotics, and that is to kill a human being. To kill Wily and put an end to the fight once and for all, or to capture him, knowing full well that history will repeat itself. Some think this scene is out of character, but on the contrary, Mega Man being conflicted with these kind of questions is exactly what this series is about, or what it should be about. These are the kind of questions that they should not be afraid of asking. What it means to be a robot. Mega Man ultimately would have made the right choice simply because that's the kind of hero he is, but the question itself plays into the themes of both Mega Man and his character. As the creator put it, this is the sadness of a robot and his inorganic existence. Mega Man's hesitance in that moment shows, as Mega Man said, he's more than just a robot. Even in the Japanese version where he doesn't say these words, the moment itself speaks volumes. We know the kind of hero Mega Man is and what he would have done, so I argue this moment is perfectly in character, and man do I love this game even more for being willing to go there. All in all, my friends, this isn't just a pretty good Mega Man game. Mega Man 7 is a masterpiece. Is it more of the same as reviews suggested back in the day? At its core, yes. It's more of that solid formula that ain't broke. And you know what they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It not only works, but they perfected it here. Mega Man 7 takes what works, does it as good, if not better, than the games that came before, and it adds a whole heap of new fresh toppings on what is already a pretty awesome sundae. Simply put, this is Mega Man. Okay, Mega Bros, thanks for watching. It's always a pleasure going back and playing this one. I do have my nitpicks, as I do with every Mega Man game. It's impossible not to have at least 1 or 2 nitpicks for the games that I care so much about. But 7 is about as perfect a Mega Man experience as they come. One thing I didn't mention though in the bulk of the review is that Inafune had the programmer add a neat little versus mode that's hidden away with a secret password. Enter in a code lets you duke it out as either Mega Man or Bass. And it's pretty simple and straightforward, but it's pretty neat to see, knowing that this is essentially the foundation for the 2 arcade games, Power Battle and Power Fighters. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this review. I absolutely love Mega Man 7, and if anyone hasn't played it, do yourself a favor and go play it. It might be one of the more expensive Super Nintendo games, but if you can't score a copy of that old cartridge, you can always play it in the Legacy Collection. Anyways, while you're at it, try taking on Freeze Man with only the Mega Buster. That's a good time. But before I continue to ramble on, if you enjoyed this review, which I hope you did, then hey, leave a like, why don't you? In those comments you got there, why not drop one of them down below? And hey, if you haven't already, you might as well subscribe for more, because we got plenty more Mega Man reviews to come, especially with the big 35th anniversary around the corner. So I'll catch you, as always, on the next one. This is DenDen, signing off.